They didn't even hide it. The boarding pass said it plainly, Seat 34, be adjacent to rear lavatory. Like I wouldn't notice. Like I wouldn't mind the smell, the sound, the traffic of feet stepping over my shoes every 5 minutes. I used to smile through these things, keep my mouth shut, be the easy one, not anymore. My name is Estelle Merritt, and I'm 72 years old. I've spent my life showing up for people who didn't always return the favor. I was a good wife, a loyal daughter, a mother who said yes more often than no. But lately, I've been asking myself what all that sacrifice left me with, besides silence. This story begins with what was supposed to be a family vacation. Just a few days by the coast, my daughter Dana had said on the phone, "We'll handle everything. You don't need to worry about a thing." That was my first red flag. When people say you don't need to worry, they usually mean they don't want to be questioned. I'd been invited last minute, after they already booked the house. It was Carl's idea, Dana's husband. It'd be good for her to get out of that house, I heard him say in the background. Just make sure she's not high maintenance. Dana had laughed. She's harmless. Just stubborn. They were talking about me like I wasn't on the line. Still, I smiled. I told them thank you. I even baked a batch of lemon squares for the flight, the way I always used to when Dana was little. She hated airplane peanuts, and I figured it might be nice to bring back a little memory. But things started to feel off the moment I received my flight confirmation. Dana sent it with a quick text. Got your seat? All good. I clicked the link. Seat 34B. Middle seat, last row, no window, right next to the toilets. And them? Dana, Carl, and their 2 kids were in business class. Spacious seats, priority boarding, and noise-cancelling headphones. I sat in my kitchen staring at that confirmation email for nearly 20 minutes. I kept wondering if it was a mistake. Maybe they booked late, and it was all that was left. But then I remembered something Dana said a week earlier. We used up our miles, but don't worry. We found a clever way around it. I should have asked more questions. That evening, I drove over to their place for dinner. I brought wine. Dana had made salmon and couscous, and the boys were playing video games in the other room. The table was set for 5. My seat was the only one without a napkin. Sorry, Mum, Dana said casually, folding one for me from a paper towel roll. We ran out of the good ones. Carl laughed. She'll be fine. She's not picky. I bit my tongue. Halfway through dinner, Carl leaned back and joked. You know, Mum's probably got the strongest knees of us all. She'll be fine back there in coach. Dana added, Yeah, and it's a short flight. It's not like we booked her in cargo. They both laughed. I smiled tightly and pretended it didn't sting. That night, lying in bed, I stared at the ceiling fan spinning overhead. I thought about all the flights I'd booked for Dana growing up. Spring break in Florida, her semester abroad in Spain, even the honeymoon tickets when they couldn't afford it. And now they couldn't even give me a seat where I could stretch my legs without someone brushing past me on the way to relieve themselves. I don't need luxury. I've never asked for it. But I deserve dignity. And I decided, right then, that I would not be sitting in 34B. Not on that plane. Not in life. I didn't sleep much that night. The next morning, I made coffee, sat by the window, and opened my laptop. There was a part of me, the small, hopeful part, that still believed Dana had made a mistake. Maybe she hadn't looked at the seat assignment properly. Maybe they were planning to switch with me once we boarded. I wanted to believe they meant well. But something wouldn't let me drop it. I clicked through my inbox again, double-checking the confirmation email. It wasn't just the seat. The ticket had been booked using an airline credit card I didn't recognize. The name looked familiar, though. Merit Rewards Platinum Visa. My last name. My email. I never signed up for it. I searched Merit Rewards in my inbox and found something I hadn't seen before. An approval email from 5 months ago, tucked between some newsletters and junk mail. It had my name and my address, but the phone number wasn't mine. Neither was the mailing address. They had used my name, my credit score, and my email address to open a travel rewards card. I sat frozen at my kitchen table, my fingers curled around the coffee mug like it could steady me. I thought about every time Dana had offered to help me with bills, how she insisted I didn't need to log in and check things. It's all automatic, Mum. I thought about the package that came a while back with my name on it. Dana had scooped it up quickly and said, "Oh, that's probably just junk. I'll recycle it." I hadn't asked. I hadn't wanted to seem suspicious. But now the suspicion was burning through my chest. Later that afternoon, I drove down to the bank and asked to speak with a representative. I told her I believed someone had opened a credit account using my identity. The woman was kind, gentle even, but I could see the pity in her eyes. "Unfortunately, it looks like you're listed as a joint owner. There's an active card in your name and multiple transactions from the last 4 months. Flights, hotels, Uber rides, even an online clothing order shipped to this address." She pointed to Dana's house. I stared at the printout in my lap. She leaned in. "Miss Merritt, do you want to file a fraud report today?" I hesitated. My throat tightened. I imagined my daughter's face, surprised, maybe embarrassed. She'd say it was all a misunderstanding. Carl would shrug and say, "We were going to tell you." They always had a way of minimizing things. So I didn't file the report. Not yet. Instead, I asked the woman at the desk a different question. If I wanted to flag the card so that it stops working during a trip, but without immediately cancelling it, could I do that? She blinked. "You'd like to freeze it?" "No," I said softly. "I'd like to give it just enough rope." She looked at me for a long moment, then nodded. "I can put a monitoring alert on it. It'll flag mid-use, especially with any larger international or travel-based purchases." I thanked her and walked out feeling something strange. Not guilt, not anger. Clarity. The kind that comes after years of being talked over and dismissed. The kind that sharpens when you realize someone saw you as too old to notice, too gentle to fight. They thought they'd picked the perfect target. A 72-year-old woman who still carries her husband's old planner and writes birthday cards in cursive. But they forgot something. I raised them. I know every trick in their playbook. And now, I was going to remind them exactly who they were dealing with. Flight day. I arrived at the airport 3 hours early, rolling my little navy suitcase behind me, dressed in my softest cardigan and my husband's old watch, the one he used to wear to court. It still ticked like it had something to prove. The others were coming later. Dana had texted the night before. "Boarding starts at 9:40. We'll meet you at the gate. Don't forget your ID." I didn't reply, because I had other plans. I approached the airline counter with a calm smile and a firm voice. The young woman at the desk greeted me with the kind of tone people use for elderly passengers. Warm, but slightly patronizing. "Hi there. Are you flying with someone today?" "Yes," I said, "but I'll be flying ahead of them now. I'd like to change my seat." She blinked. "I'm not sure what's available this close to boarding. Can I check your reservation?" I handed her my ID. She typed, clicked, and frowned slightly. "You're in seat 34B. That's, I know where it is," I said evenly. "That's why I want to change it." She gave me an apologetic shrug. "Coach is pretty full. There's one aisle seat, but it's still toward the back." I leaned in just slightly. "What about first class?" She paused. "That would be a full upgrade. The cost. I'll cover it." I handed her my own card, one she didn't expect. The account I never told Dana about, one my husband and I opened years ago, when we decided that no matter what the kids needed, we'd always keep something tucked away for emergencies, or dignity. The agent looked surprised. "Of course, Miss Merritt. Let me see what's available." Within 5 minutes, I had a new boarding pass in my hand. Seat 2 a window. Champagne welcome. No bathroom in sight. I smiled. Thank you, dear. As she handed me the receipt, I added, almost as an afterthought, "Oh, and could you flag the card used on the original reservation? I believe there may be a fraud report pending. It's under my name, but not my usage." Her eyes flicked up again. Slower this time. She nodded. "I'll have security look into it." I thanked her and walked to security with a steadiness I hadn't felt in years. Boarding began early. First class first. The flight attendant greeted me like I mattered, like I wasn't an afterthought in someone else's vacation. She offered to hang my cardigan. I declined. I liked the weight of it over my shoulders. It reminded me that I was no one's burden, no one's leftover. I settled into my seat, let the silence of that spacious cabin wrap around me like silk, and sipped the orange juice they brought. And then I saw them. Dana, Carl, and the boys boarding with Group 2. They didn't notice me at first. They were busy arguing over overhead bin space and who forgot the headphones. But then Dana's eyes caught mine. She blinked, squinted, tilted her head. I raised my glass to her just slightly. Her mouth fell open. Carl nudged her and said something, but she just kept staring like I was a ghost that had somehow moved up in the world. Eventually, they shuffled back to their seats. Row 8, I believe. Business class. Plush. Sure, but not first. Not next to me. Not anymore. A few minutes later, Dana walked up the aisle, crouched next to my seat like she was tending to a child. "Mom," she whispered, her smile tight, "what are you doing here?" I turned to her, calm and cool. "Flying." She blinked. "In first class?" I nodded. "It's a short flight. I thought I'd be fine." She stared, confused. "But how?" I leaned in slightly. "I have my own card, Dana. You're not the only one who knows how to book a ticket." Her face paled. I turned back to the window and let her walk away. For the first time in a long time, I didn't feel small. I felt remembered. I expected awkwardness. What I didn't expect was panic. Not mine, Dana's. 15 minutes after takeoff, she came back down the aisle again. No smile this time. No soft voice. Just tight lips and wild eyes. She crouched next to me, gripping the seat arm like it was the only thing holding her together. "Mom," she hissed. "We just got an alert. The airline said there's an issue with the payment. Something about the card." I sipped my tea. Chamomile. "You don't say." Carl came up behind her. His face was already flushed. "They said the card on the booking has been flagged. All 4 of our tickets. They're checking the charges right now. What did you do?" I looked up, calm as still water. I just told the truth, that it wasn't my account, that I didn't open it. Carl's jaw twitched. "We did it for convenience." "I'm sure you did," I said, setting down my cup. "But it's funny how convenient things only seem to benefit one side." Dana knelt beside me, whispering furiously. "You're really doing this? On the flight? In front of everyone? You mean like how you sat me next to a toilet?" I asked. Her eyes darted to the other passengers around us. The woman across the aisle had clearly heard everything, but kept staring at her book. Dana's voice cracked. "You're humiliating us." I smiled. "You humiliated yourselves. I just upgraded." The flight attendant approached. "Excuse me, are you bothering one of our passengers?" I looked at Dana. She stood up quickly. Carl whispered, "This isn't over," and followed her down the aisle like a scolded schoolboy. I closed my eyes. The roar of the engines dulled everything. The thrum beneath the floor, the gentle pull of gravity. I could have floated, I felt so light. But the best part came 20 minutes later. The flight attendant returned, kneeling beside my seat. "Miss Merritt?" "Yes?" She smiled, almost conspiratorially. "Just a heads up, our billing department just notified me that the travel card used for the other passengers has been suspended mid-flight. The transaction is being reversed. They'll need to provide alternate payment upon landing." I kept my face neutral. But inside, I was soaring higher than the aircraft. She added softly, "You're not the first family we've seen this happen to. I just wanted to say, good for you." I nodded. Thank you. Back in business class, I could see Carl arguing with a different attendant. Dana was red-faced and shaking her head. Their boys looked confused. Their phones had been taken away to prevent in-flight purchases from continuing. The same woman who'd told me I was too stubborn to understand modern travel was now flipping through a laminated card, reading terms and conditions she never thought she'd have to care about. Funny how that works. When the lunch service rolled around, I was brought a lovely grilled chicken salad and a warm roll with butter. Champagne was offered. I declined. Dana walked by on her way to the restroom, ironic considering where she'd wanted me to sit, and paused when she saw the tray in front of me. "They won't serve us anything. They said our meal package didn't go through." I looked at her. "You could have packed snacks." She glared at me, but I held her gaze. For the first time in years, she blinked first. When we began our descent, the captain's voice crackled overhead. "Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be landing shortly in San Diego. Please make sure your tray tables are up, seat backs forward, and that your dignity is securely fastened." Okay, he didn't say that last part, but I thought it. As the plane began to lower into the clouds, I glanced out the window and saw the ocean rising to meet us. Peaceful, steady. It reminded me of something my husband once told me. Sometimes the best revenge is a quiet, uninterrupted view. And oh, did I have one. We landed in San Diego to sun-washed runways and a light breeze coming off the ocean. The sky was impossibly blue, but the tension behind me was anything but. As I stood to gather my things, the flight attendant handed me my cardigan with a soft, knowing smile. "Have a wonderful stay, Miss Merritt." I nodded. "I believe I will." Dana and Carl didn't wait for me at the gate. I saw them at baggage claim, speaking in hushed, angry tones near a service desk. Their sons sat on a bench, each with a juice box, looking more bored than upset. I walked right past them, quietly. I didn't gloat. I didn't say a word. It was tempting, believe me, but I wasn't here to win a moment. I was here to reclaim a life. They had assumed we'd all share the same rental house Dana booked months ago, a 4-bedroom Airbnb by the beach. She'd emailed me the address weeks back, along with a packing list and a patronizing note. "Don't bring your heavy luggage, Mum. We'll handle all the essentials for you." It sounded sweet until you realized it meant, don't bring opinions, don't bring needs, just show up and smile. But I hadn't gone to the rental. While they were busy rearranging credit cards and arguing with airline staff, I took a quiet cab across town to a charming little inn I had booked myself. 1 queen bed, ocean view, no shared bathrooms, no passive-aggressive comments, no family micromanagement, just peace. And the first thing I did after dropping my bag on the neatly tucked bed, I made a call to the credit card company. I gave them the full report. I told them my daughter and her husband had opened accounts using my name, my address, and my financial history without permission. I provided documentation, flight records, screenshots, bank statements, and the kicker, the email trail that traced back to my daughter's own account. The agent on the phone was thorough and kind. "Miss Merritt, we'll escalate this immediately. A fraud case will be opened and charges frozen. You'll receive confirmation within 48 hours. "Thank you," I said softly. "Also, I don't want them to know it came from me until they feel it." She paused. "Understood." Later that evening, I went for a walk by the harbour. I had dinner alone, grilled fish, lemon risotto, and a chilled glass of white wine. There was a group of older women at the next table celebrating someone's birthday. One of them looked at me and said, "You're glowing. Are you here with family?" I smiled. Not anymore. Back at the inn, I checked my phone. 6 missed calls, 2 voicemails, all from Dana. I listened to one. Mum, I don't know what's going on. Our card's been frozen, and now the rental property is saying the payment didn't go through. We're stranded with 2 kids. I don't understand why this is happening. Please call me. Please. She didn't sound angry anymore. She sounded afraid. I sat on the edge of the bed and stared at the ocean through the window. The moon was rising. A long time ago, when Dana was 9, she had a nightmare about being left behind. She cried so hard I climbed into bed with her, stroked her hair, and whispered, "I would never leave you behind." And I meant it, back then. But now I knew the difference between letting go and being dragged behind people who never looked back. The next day, Carl tried calling. He left a voicemail that started calm, but quickly shifted into frustration. "If this was your way of teaching us a lesson, it worked. We get it. But you've embarrassed us. You could have just said something." I didn't respond. Instead, I sent him a simple text. "You only notice the silence when you were never listening to the words." Then I turned off my phone and opened the door to the balcony, where the sea breeze was louder and far more honest. The ocean has a way of making things smaller. Worries, regrets, even anger. All of it shrinks against the sound of the waves. I was walking along the harbour promenade the next afternoon just after lunch. The sky was pale blue, and the breeze off the water smelled like salt and jasmine. My cardigan flapped gently in the wind. For the first time in months, maybe years, I felt light. And then I saw her. Dana. She was standing at the edge of the boardwalk, holding a coffee cup she wasn't drinking from. Her eyes found mine before I could decide whether to turn around or keep walking. She didn't smile. Neither did I. We met in the middle. She spoke first. "You really froze the card." I said nothing. She exhaled sharply. "Carl's furious. The boys are confused. The rental kicked us out. We're in a hotel room with 2 twin beds and no breakfast." Still, I said nothing. Dana's voice softened, cracked. Was this all really necessary? That was when I finally looked her in the eye and asked, "Do you mean, was it necessary to stop you from using my name? Or necessary to remind you I'm still a person?" She blinked. "I didn't mean it that way. We thought," Carl said, "we figured you wouldn't mind. That it was just miles. Perks." "No," I said calmly. "You thought I wouldn't notice. That I was too old, too slow, too out of touch to care. You assumed my email was your login page and my credit was your backup plan. But you didn't ask. You didn't even tell me." She started to protest, but I raised a hand. "I sat in silence for years, Dana. Through your sarcasm, through Carl's smirks, through all the tiny ways you made me feel like a relic, a worn piece of furniture you keep around out of obligation." Tears gathered in her eyes, but I kept going. "I buried my husband. Alone. I went through chemo while watching your children because you couldn't find a sitter. I paid your mortgage once. Quietly. Without asking for thanks." Dana shook her head. "I never knew you felt this way. No, you never looked long enough to find out." We stood in silence for a moment, the waves filling the space between us. Dana reached into her bag and pulled out a small white envelope. "This is from Carl. He asked me to give it to you." I took it, opened it. Inside was a check for the total amount charged to the card over the last 5 months, along with a 1-line note. "We'll cancel the card. It won't happen again." I folded the note. It already happened. Dana's eyes pleaded. "So that's it? You're done with us?" I looked out at the water. "No, I'm done being last. I'm done being forgotten until you need something. I'm not a ghost in your vacation plans, Dana. I'm your mother." She wiped a tear. "I'm sorry, Mum." I believed her, but it didn't change the ache. I placed the check back in her hand. "You keep it. Use it to book a real seat next time. One that faces forward." We stood there for a long while. Seagulls passed overhead. Someone's dog barked down the boardwalk. The moment wasn't warm, but it was clean. Eventually, Dana stepped back. "Where are you staying?" "Somewhere with ocean breeze and room to breathe." She nodded. We didn't hug. We didn't promise to call. We just paused, then turned and walked in opposite directions. The wind picked up as I walked back to the inn. I didn't cry. I didn't feel triumphant. But I did feel steady. That was enough. I stayed in San Diego for 2 more days after they left. They cut their trip short. Carl had to go back early for work. Dana sent one more text before they left the hotel. "I hope you enjoyed your little power play." I didn't respond. I didn't need to. Because it wasn't about power. It was about position. For so long, I had taken the back row, the middle seat, the role of the one who doesn't mind. I'd sat through the noise, the neglect, the subtle humiliations disguised as jokes. I'd smiled through being excluded, misused, and labeled as fine just because I didn't complain. But being silent isn't the same as being okay. That trip showed me that. On my last evening, I walked the shoreline at dusk. The wind had calmed, and the tide rolled in gentle and sure. I sat on a bench, my husband's watch ticking faintly on my wrist, and thought about him. He would have told me I did the right thing. He used to say, "You teach people how to treat you, Estelle. Every yes tells them what you'll put up with." I used to think saying yes made me generous. Now I know it made me invisible. Not anymore. Before heading home, I did one more thing. I went online and booked another trip. Not to San Diego, not with family. A week in Charleston, a walking tour, a waterfront inn. No group texts, no itinerary spreadsheets, no whispered insults about my memory or tech skills. Just me, and that same quiet seat by the window in first class. I paid for it myself, with my own card, my own name. Funny, isn't it? How something as small as a seat on a plane can reflect how someone sees you. Or doesn't. I used to think 34B was where I belonged. Out of the way. Out of sight. But now I know better. When I got back home, there was a package waiting for me on the porch. No return label. Inside, a navy blue throw blanket. The kind Dana always said I didn't need because I already had so many old ones. And a card. Just 3 words, scribbled in handwriting that had been shaky since childhood. "I see you." I didn't cry. I just folded the blanket across the arm of my favorite chair, poured myself a cup of tea, and sat down by the window. That night, I wrote a new entry in my journal. This time, I didn't let them put me in the back. I chose my own seat. And the view was worth everything they never thought I'd notice. They thought they'd silenced me. But all they did was teach me how to speak, without ever raising my voice. They thought I'd sit in the worst seat on the plane and feel lucky, but I didn't stay in that seat. I upgraded, not just the ticket, not just the legroom, but the way I carry myself in this world. And I did it for the same reason they tried to keep me small. Because I remembered who I was. Have you ever been treated like a burden by the very people you once carried? Drop a heart in the comments if this story hit close to home, and don't forget to subscribe for more powerful true stories like this one. Because quiet strength, it speaks volumes.